Welcome back, artistic ladies and gentlemen, to part 2 of this extra Snorlax episode in my PTCGO series. Check out part 1 if you haven't already, where I showcased my own Snorlax deck for the expanded format. A bit of a uncommon approach, I would say. In this part 2, I'm gonna show you a deck that was sent to me, a deck list sent to me by Miguel Gutierrez. You might have seen him around in my comment section. He quite frequently comments on my videos, and he sent me this list and might as well include it in my Snorlax episodes. Why the heck not, right? Snorlax with its 140 hit points can toss and turn, hitting for 30 and 90 more if he is asleep, does take 3 colorless energy. For 4 colorless energy, he can also swallow, deal 50 damage and heal 50 damage at the same time. Slap on a Fighting Fury Belt, then he's dealing 60 and healing 60. Miguel does run 3 Fighting Fury Belt, just like I did in my list. This gives Snorlax 180 HP and basically turns it into a big fat Snorlax EX without having that drawback of having to give up 2 prizes when he gets knocked out. So that is pretty good, having that Fighting Fury Belt in this deck list. He has combined Snorlax with Hypno, with the Goodnight Baby's ability to put Snorlax to sleep and also to put our opponent's active Pokemon to sleep. And then we can hit for 120 plus 10 is 130 damage on our opponent's active Pokemon. The 10 coming from the Fighting Fury Belt. He's also included Altaria with the Clear Humming ability. Both each of your colorless Pokemon has no weakness. If you are facing Lucario or Zygarde or any other fighting Pokemon, we will want to play down Altaria because we have a fighting weakness here, and Altaria gets rid of it, and we can do that in our first turn because Altaria has the Delta Evolution trait, meaning that we can evolve it as soon as we've put down our Swablu. He's also included a 2-2 line of Octillery for draw support. I think his list is actually quite close to Dark Integral Gaming's list, I believe. I don't really follow him, but I saw a video from him about Snorlax, and I think his list looked kind of like Miguel's list. It didn't include these puzzles. The puzzles here, I am assuming, are to get back DCEs from the discard pile, as well as Snorlax itself, or important pieces of the puzzle like this Hypno, because without Hypno this deck is nowhere. We need Hypno to put Snorlax asleep. Hexmaniac actually shuts down this deck pretty hard. It shuts down the Octillery and it shuts down the Hypno at the same time, meaning that we only hit for 40 with this toss and turn if we have a Fighting Fury Belt attached. He also plays 3 Battle Compressors for consistency and to discard potentially some supporters, get them back with the VS Seekers. The supporters in this deck are fairly traditional, I would say, except for the teammates. He has included 2 teammates in this deck, very handy to get out a DCE and maybe a Snorlax when the Snorlax in the active spot got knocked out, or a DCE and a Fighting Fury Belt rather. Just to power up a new Snorlax that we have on our bench with, for example, 1 Fairy Energy attached. He runs Fairy Energy to give our Snorlax free retreat. It has 4 retreat cost, which is pretty hefty. All of the other Pokemon have a pretty hefty retreat cost as well, except for Altaria, which only has a 1 retreat cost. So these Fairy Energies will help us to retreat in combination with the Fairy Garden. Each Pokemon that has any Fairy Energy attached to it has no retreat cost if this stadium is in play. And then for draw supporters, he runs 3 Sycamore and 1 N, and that's basically it. 1 Brigette to get some Pokemon on our bench, mainly the Drowzee and the Remoraid at the start of the game, as well as 1 copy of a Snorlax, so that we can evolve into our Hypno as soon as possible. And then 1 Xerosic, a very good tech against Night March, will certainly help us to get rid of some of their DCEs. They will also run Puzzle of Time, but we run them as well, so if they have a Xerosic of their own, it will be a battle to see who can get rid of their opponent's DCE first. And then we have 1 Lysandre for targeting easy prizes like the Shaman, and that is it for the supporters actually. He runs 4 Ultra Ball to get out our Pokemon. That's the only Pokemon search cards in this deck, so if we want to search out a Pokemon, we will always have to discard 2 cards. That is the side effect of the Ultra Ball. 4 Trainers Mail for consistency, 2 Super Rods, which is actually quite high. Typically you only see 1 Super Rod in a deck. Certainly in combination with 4 Puzzle of Time, it is a pretty high count. Super Rod to shuffle back the Fairy Energies and some Snorlaxes, as well as our Hypnos if they got KO'd, and 1 Town Map can be pretty crucial to get that Hypno from the prizes if it is prized, or you never know, a DCE, because DCE is fairly important in this deck since we require so much energy on our Snorlax. And I believe that's it for the deck analysis. We have arrived at the end. Look at that. It is time for us to dive into the battles. Leave a like for Miguel Gutierrez decklist if you like the premise of it and if you enjoy the battles that I'm gonna have with it. And subscribe to my channel if you wanna see more decklists from my viewers and more decklists from myself. And I'll see you in the battles. Alright, Zixen is gonna be our opponent with a fire and a colorless deck. Let's go for heads. We have to go second. I'm going to go ahead and guess this is an Entei Charizard deck. Pretty fast deck. It's gonna be tough for us to keep up with it. Certainly when we start off with a hand like this. A desperate hand. A hand which calls for desperation. Or despair. Wow. 3 energies in an Altaria. Oh, it's a Fennekin. Might be a Delphox deck then. Or Delphox maybe with Flareon. Who knows? There, discards a rare candy. Wow. She really went for it with the Sycamore there. Rare candy, VN Seeker, Blacksmith, 2 max elixirs. Ah, that must have been pretty sour apple to bite through for my opponent. But we have a pretty sour apple to bite through as well. Oh man, we might just have to go for a Focused Wish. My opponent is going to go for a Tail Whip, or maybe even just a Will-O-Wisp. There's a rare candy into the Delphox, never mind. Oh, this is looking already very grim for us. We need a top deck for the next turn or we are simply done for. Oh, God sent N from the heavens. Thank goodness, wow. My opponent just saved our asses there. Our asses were on the line. We even get another Drowzee. But we don't get a very nice hand from this N either. We need a draw supporter from this Trainers Mail. Right now. Definitely right now. There's an Ultra Ball for my opponents. Going to go for a Shaman, I would imagine. Oh, actually a Delphox Break. I believe that's for the next turn. Right now she cannot use it. And a Mystical Fire to draw into 3 more cards. My opponent is on her way here. She's off. She has started here. Benches another Fennekin. And the pass of the turn. Alright, what can we do here? We top deck Snorlax, excellent. At least we have that Snorlax. Another Drowzee and a Remoraid. I will start powering up our Snorlax for sure. And then I would love to get a... Oh, there it is, Sycamore. You are welcomed very heartedly, my friend. Please, thank you very much for joining us here today, Sycamore. We get Snorlax, Fighting Fury Belt for our other Snorlax. And then we get another Trainer's Mail. Can we maybe get a Counter Stadium? No, we just get some more Trainer's Mail. Puzzle of Time. Not too keen on that puzzle. Let's just hope our opponents ends us once again. That might be a little bit too much to hope for, but hey, you never know. She already ended us once, why wouldn't she end us twice? Unless she got some good cards from that, no end, there's a Wally. She got some good cards from the Mystical Fire. Wally is the, what is that, the Fennekin into the Bryson. And we see the Delphox Break, which allows her to attach a Fire Energy card from her deck to one of her Pokemon, which is gonna be the Delphox Break, hitting for 110 damage right now. Pretty soon it will be quite a bit more. So we have to get our attack off in the next turn. We have to find a DCE for our Snorlax. Maybe I should have used this Puzzle of Time guide my top deck. We'll have to wait and see. I need to find a Hypno, a DCE this turn. I get 2 puzzles. Huh. Well, before I use my Sycamore, I am definitely going to use these two puzzles. I need to use my Sycamore as well. I'm going to puzzle for a Hypno and a Trainers Mail. Actually a Drowzee, that's what I meant. Get a backup Drowzee going, and then I'm going to hopefully find the 1N in this deck. No, I do not. I just find a VS Seeker, so I have to discard this VS Seeker here with our Sycamore. Yeah, that is not working out for us. There is a DCE, however. Do we get a Ultra Ball from that Trainer's Mail that we have there? Hopefully we do. I'm going to attach to the Snorlax. I'm going to discard, let's see, the Swablu. Teammates. We have a VS Seeker for the Teammates. And I'm also going to discard Lysandre. Yeah, there is a Hypno. We have two Hypnos. We have 3 Ultra Balls. Alright, we should be able to get an Ultra Ball from this Trainer's Mail. There is a decent chance here. And yes, we do. Wow. We do indeed. I would love to Ultra Ball for a Octillery, but that's not going to be possible. I'm going to have to discard this Sycamore as well as the Fairy Garden. And I'm going to get out the Hypno here. Luckily we have a DCE in hand for the next turn and a VS Seeker for potentially a Sycamore if we don't top deck an Octillery. So here it is. Good night, babies. And a toss and turn coming up. This won't be a knockout, only Delphox break, but it will be a 2-hit knockout. And we stay asleep and they stay asleep. Yes. My opponent needs to find a switch now. That's the only thing that would save her, switch or escape rope. Or Olympia, that's a possibility as well. That would heal 30 damage from the Delphox break at the same time. Let's just hope my opponent doesn't have those cards in hand. She has 6 cards, so she cannot use the Mystical Fire. That won't be possible. So if she wants to draw into some more cards, she will need to use a supporter. Now she can use the Mystical Fire for 2 cards. And there is a Flowstone. Decides to put it on the Delphox on the bench. So she's gonna let the Delphox in the active spot get knocked out, most likely. Oh, never mind. She has the switch. She has the darn switch. Can you imagine it? And a Flare Witch. Going to put an energy on the Delphox in the active spot. She will most likely retreat that unless she uses a Blacksmith. And there is a retreat into the Delphox. Will we see the Mystical Fire? Lysandre on the Hypno is actually going to target our Hypno. So good thing I benched that Drowzee there. That's really a good thing here. And at least we preserve 1 attacker. So it's a bit of a risky strategy for my opponent to go for the Hypno, but it's definitely a viable one and a pretty good one because it puts us on a pressure of trying to get Hypno back into our deck. Bench the Drowzee once again here. And now we need to find another Hypno, which we do have in our deck. There is an Ultra Ball. Unfortunately, I won't be able to use that Ultra Ball. I really don't want to discard this DCE. So I'm going to have to discard that Ultra Ball. Or I could Teammates for Octillery. I could Teammates right now for Octillery and Super Rod, or Teammates for Octillery and Hypno. Where is our Super Rods? Do we have Super Rods? Both Super Rods are priced, it seems. Oh my goodness, both Super Rods are priced. So I'm gonna Teammates here for Hypno and Octillery. I can't believe that both Super Rods are priced. Oh no, actually they are there they are. I must have not looked very well. So there's the Hypno, there is the Octillery. We will get a knockout here. We'll slowly get ourselves into the game. We'll draw into 4 cards with the Octillery. Ideally, I want to get a Super Rod from these cards. And yes, I do. I can shuffle back the Drowzee, the Hypno, and 1 energy. And then I can bench the Drowzee. using this Ultra Ball, discard an energy that we just shuffled back, so it's zero. It's a zero operation on the energy there with the Super Rod and the Ultra Ball. We shall bench another Drowzee, just because we need to have it ready to evolve. And then it's time for the Goodnight Babies, and get a knockout on that Delphox break, leaving my opponent just with another Delphox. Kinda wanna Lysandre out one of these Flareons actually, just to take some more prizes. We get a Brigette, don't really need a Brigette, it's a little bit too late for us, that Brigette. Would have been better at the start of the game. My opponent promotes the Delphox, she could definitely power it up with a Blacksmith and an energy attachment. It could even evolve into another Delphox break. There's an energy attachment. Do we see a Blacksmith? Then we would get hit for 150 damage, which is pretty scary, because we cannot one-hit KO this Delphox. We need to count on it staying asleep. Although we have a backup Snorlax ready to go. There is another Delphox. Muscle Band on the Bryson on the bench, which will evolve into a Delphox. Mystical Fire drawing into 3 cards. Our opponent's down to 14 cards. We are down to 19 cards. It looks like the game is pretty even right now. I say my opponent is in a good spot. We are still in a decent spot. As long as we can keep the Drowzee on the Hypno on our bench, we should be fine. We definitely want to find another Snorlax. We've used 3 VS Seekers, so this is the last VS Seeker that I have in hand. She actually goes for Steven, which is a bit of a weak supporter to go for right here. Gets a Blacksmith for the next turn. I think she missed out on getting the Blacksmith this turn. And doesn't get an energy. How many energies are in the discard pile? Wow, 6 energies already. 110 damage onto our Snorlax. We get an energy for our other Snorlax. I'm going to Octillery, I think. Yeah, I'm going to use Octillery with the Abyssal Hand. Hopefully we can find the Hypno. There's a Remoraid. I don't want to use my Super Rods. What I do want to do is actually end myself. This is not a very favorable hand that I had there. And we get the Snorlax. Yes, I wanted to get another Snorlax. And we also get a Puzzle of Time. And then I'm going to get rid of some cards in my deck. We'll have to see what. Remoraid, Hypno, Octillery. I think I'm gonna get rid of the Octillery actually and the Remoraid. They're kinda cluttering the deck at this point. We've got 2 more energies. Where are our DCEs? We don't have any DCEs left in the deck. Have we got any in the discard pile? We don't. So 2 DCEs are prized. I really want to get the town map now. And just to see where the DCEs are. Yeah, this is gonna be it. We need all the other cards in our deck. And then I shall put myself to sleep. Toss and turn away. And hopefully the Delphox stays asleep. This is a pretty crucial turn here. If the Delphox stays asleep, yes, the Delphox stays asleep, we can actually even ourselves out in the prizes here. My opponents can still find a switch. We know she runs at least 1 switch. She might run 2 switches. If she finds a switch once again, she will be able to keep the prize lead, putting a lot of pressure on us to try to come back here. I want to preserve or use that final VS Seeker for Lysandre on one of these Flareons, if I can. And get a knockout on the Flareons to quicken or to pace up, to quicken getting the prizes. There is an attachment to the Flareon. My opponent is moving the energy away from the Delphox, is going to let it get knocked out, and I don't think she has a switch in hand. So she's going to try to just preserve the energies on the field, put them on that Flareon there. So if we get a VS Seeker, I want to Lysandre out the other Flareon EX. My opponent could definitely attach an energy and Blacksmith onto that Flareon. That's definitely a possibility. But as soon as we attack, as long as we attack first, we have an advantage over the Flareon EX. And she's down to 6 cards right now. She needs to watch out for the deck outs, because she still needs to take 4 prizes here, and we don't have any EXs, so she needs to knock out 4 Pokemon. There's quite a lot to do in just 6 turns, certainly with our big fat Snorlaxes here with 140 HP, or even more with the Fighting Fury belts, which we only have 1 in play really. It actually moves another energy to the other Flareon, so it's definitely gonna be a knockout on this Delphox, and I'm gonna knock it down with my Swallow if I can. Attach a Fairy Energy to the Snorlax and heal up for 60, bringing myself down to 50 damage, so I still have 130 HP. Hopefully that will preserve me for another turn after that, although this Flareon can, with a Blacksmith, hit for 130 exactly. There is a Blacksmith onto the Delphox, so not onto the Flareon. What do we get? We get the Town Map. Excellent. We wanted to see that Town Map for sure. Then it's time to go with the Octillery. What can we get from the Abyssal Hand? We will draw into 2 cards. Can we get an energy from it? We do get an energy, as well as an Ultra Ball. I'm going to put that energy on the Snorlax. Should I do that? Maybe I should just let the Snorlax get knocked out. How many energies does my opponent have in the discard pile? 5 energies, 1 Blacksmith, 3 VS Seekers, so she can Blacksmith or VS Seeker for Blacksmith 1 more time. I think she runs more than 1 Blacksmith in her deck as well. So we might for sure see a Blacksmith in the next turn and get KO'd by that Flareon. So I'm gonna put it on the Snorlax on the bench instead. Just go for my toss and turn and not heal up. If it wants to register, there he goes. And then we shall hit good night babies and hit for the knockouts. What shall we get from the prizes? Should we get a DCE or another Snorlax? I think the DCE is a smart play here. Could go for the Ultra Ball, but we have an Ultra Ball in hand to get a Hypno out if my opponent Lysandres the Hypno. So right now I think we're looking pretty decent. My opponent promotes the other Delphox. Good attackers for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 120, 140. She's attacking us for 140. And that's still not a 1-hit KO on our Snorlaxes if we have the Fighting Fury belt. So we might need to dig for a Fighting Fury belt in the next turn. 280 damage. What? Oh, to all Pokemon in play. That's insane. Wow. That is actually a 1-hit KO. That is pretty insane. I'm glad I attached that energy to the Snorlax on the bench now. I tell you what. Let's put that on the Snorlax right there. Let's... I could get rid of this Puzzle of Time. And discard the Brigette as well to get out the Hypno. And then fill up my hands a little bit more. Dig for a Snorlax. And I think I will do that. I'm gonna get rid of that puzzle. Here is the Hypno, so let's get that out already. And now my opponent needs to use 2 Lysandres to be able to knock out our Hypnos. And I don't think she can do that. Then we shall Abyssal Hand, bring ourselves down to 3 cards in our deck, and there we get a Fighting Fury belt as well as a Teammates. I could use the Teammates right now, but I'm going to go for a Snorlax from the prizes, I think. So we shall good night babies. We also have the VS Seeker for the N, so we can end ourselves if we are too close to the deck outs. Toss and turn. Does my opponent stay asleep again? We stay asleep, and my opponent stays asleep. Oh, these coin flips, they are so important. So very important. I can't even imagine what it would have been like if my opponent woke up all the time, I think we would have been in a pretty bad spot then. I'm not gonna lie, I think those coin flips are kinda allowing us to potentially win this game. My opponent's using Ultra Ball, is digging out maybe another Brixen or a Delphox for a rare candy or something. Fails the search. I think most of the Pokemon are in the discard pile. There's 2 Brixen, 2 Delphox, 2 Fennekin, 1 Brixen. Yeah, I think her entire evolution line is either in the discard pile or in play. Because she has a Delphox there, 3 Delphox in total. The break is in the discard pile. She could have 1 more break, but maybe she only runs 1. What is she going to do here? Is she maybe going to concede? No, she's going to VS Seeker for Lysandre, and she might Lysandre or Hypno, which she does. Do we have a Fairy Garden? The Fairy Garden is prized, so we cannot retreat that Hypno unless we find a DCE, but we know the last DCE is prized as well. So now we are in a bit of trouble here. How are we going to retreat the Hypno? How are we going to do that? We have 1, 2 energy there. 3, 4, 5. We cannot retreat it by attaching energy actually. I think the Hypno is stuck there. I think we can actually not retreat it. So we have to wait for our N. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. My opponent has 7 cards. So my opponent is going to deck out before we do. Unless she knocks out the Hypno. So I'm actually going to pause the turn here. We cannot retreat the Hypno. Pausing the turn is the only thing we can do. And my opponent stays asleep once again. So my opponent can do 2 things here. She can knock out our Hypno. Or she can... Actually, she can only do 1 thing. She can knock out our Hypno. She has to knock it out if she wants to stand a chance at winning this game. We can end ourselves. She can also do that, but we have more cards in our deck. So she will deck out before us, even if she ends. We shall... Good night, babies. 1 more time. Then we shall end our turn. What a funny situation this is. We cannot retreat that Hypno. Just because we have 1 Stadium prized and 1 DCE prized. And also the rest of our energies are in the discard pile. I could actually get back these energies with the Super Rods right now. Fill up my deck so that I don't have to use this VS Seeker for an N. And I think I will. I might actually start attaching to the Hypno. Because I can shuffle back these energies. But do I want to do that? Maybe I just want to let my opponent deck out. Yeah, I think I will actually let my opponent deck out here. I'm just gonna... Good night, babies. End my turn. And see what my opponent does. The Delphox wakes up. Can she attach an energy to the Delphox? And knock out our Hypno? She's used her last VS Seeker for that Lysandre, I believe. Maybe she runs 1 more Lysandre in the deck, that's possible. If she knocks out this Hypno, she could actually knock out our other Hypno with that last Lysandre and clutch the game that way. That makes me wonder if I should have attached energies to this Hypno and retreated it. If I should have Super Rods a little bit earlier on. But it's too late now. My opponent has knocked out the Hypno. We shall promote the Snorlax here. Would love to get another Snorlax, but we need to get it from the prizes. Might as well attach to the Octillery. You never know, my opponent might Lysandre it out to stall. Does that make sense? I don't know. Now I'm just gonna attach to the Snorlax. And we shall hit for the... Maybe the knockout on the Shaymin. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna knock out that Shaymin, take 2 prizes, take a Fairy Garden and a Snorlax. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna knock out that Shaman. I think that's the better play here. Bring ourselves down to 2 prizes here. Good night, babies, for a toss and turn onto the Shaman. Oh, this is a pretty tense game here. Very long as well. There is a knockout, and I shall get the Fairy Garden. Leave the DCE in the prizes. We have 2 Snorlax ready to go, and that's basically all we need. Maybe I should have gone for that DCE then, because we don't really need to power up another Snorlax. Yeah, I should have gone for that DCE. You never know, my opponent might use a Xerosic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, 150, 170. That's not a knockout. That is not a knockout on our Snorlax. And an end from my opponent. So she has 3 cards left. We will have 8 cards left. And we get the Counter Stadium Blaze Ball for 170. Oh, very close game here. Very, very close game. That is the last end from my opponent. My opponent cannot use any other end. I'm actually going to retreat into the other Snorlax. With the Fairy Garden here. So that we can preserve this Snorlax. And then we shall... Good night, babies. My opponent will have to retreat his Flareon if she wants to win the game here, because in the next turn we are going to knock out that Flareon. We have 2 attackers ready to go. It's a heads on the Snorlax, but it doesn't really matter. She needs to retreat. She could knock out our Hypno, but we have the Swallow attack, which hits for 60, and that is enough to knock out the Flareon EX. So even if she finds a Lysandre miraculously, if she has been hiding that Lysandre in her deck and knocks out our Hypno, we have the game. We have created the win condition for ourselves here by Lysandring out that Shaman. Oh wow. I don't think there's anything my opponent could do. She could Lysandre out our Hypno again, but why would she do that if she has a Lysandre? There's a Blacksmith. That's gonna be a knockout on the Snorlax for sure. 7 energies on that Flareon. And for some reason she uses a Flash Fire on the Flareon on the bench. Blaze Ball for the knockout, but we shall respond with our own knockout. A GG from my opponent. What a very, very, very tense game here. It came down to the last prizes. Let's... Good night, babies. Let's go for the full damage. And a toss and turn one final time for 130 damage. Take that DCE, take that Ultra Ball, and celebrate our victory with a sigh of relief. And we get a present as well. A well-deserved present, I would say, for all these efforts. Hopefully it's something good. Hopefully it's not just 25 coins. I'd love to get something more. I've been getting 25 coins day after day here. Haven't seen anything else except for like 1 booster pack. Let's take a look at the stats. Those are some impressive stats right there. 1040 damage from us and 1100 damage from our opponent. We took 24 minutes of game time. Snorlax MVP versus Flareon EX. I don't really have any more time to record any more games today, so I'm gonna leave it here, but I think this was a satisfactory game. I think you don't really need to see any more games than this to show off the Snorlax deck from Miguel Gutierrez. Leave a like if you enjoyed his deck, if you enjoyed seeing it in action, and subscribe to my channel for more close endings, for more close finals of games like this. Have a Karptastic day.
Karp, 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 Karp.